Guys, welcome back. Thanks for coming back. I really appreciate you coming and hanging out. Hey, listen, so today we're going to answer some questions that I've been getting a lot, specifically about my pricing structure, what I'm charging, how much things cost, insurance, things like that. So a lot of numbers in this one, so stay tuned for that. And also, I have a dumpster to drop off today, so we're going to do that as well. Stick around.
Money coming, money go. I've been at it on the low. Trapping out of where I live. I can see the
That's how you make the donuts. All right, we got this one loaded up. This is actually the can that I had in Huntsville on that last video you saw me and my wife load up. And it's been sitting here because I just haven't had time to get to the dump. I got to the dump one other time on the way to work one morning because someone needed a can. But I just haven't had time. So I always like to do a walk around, make sure that my pin's in, everything's closed up. I would hate to drop all this crap out of here, especially on my own property. That would suck. Well, I mean, it would suck regardless. But, oh, phone's ringing. Look at that, phone's ringing. Like I tell you guys, what do I always say? It don't sleep, brother. It don't sleep.
A few moments later.
This one dropped off here. It's up against a building here. It's gonna be no big deal to pick up as long as no one's parked here when I go to pick it up. But yep, got it there. Good to go. All right, guys, that drop off's complete. Now, I think I've explained this before. I live in a fairly rural, R-U-R-A-L area, and because of that, most of my jobs are kind of spread out. Let me show you what I'm dealing with here. Okay, I've already been on the road for about 10 minutes. That's to get back to my my place. Now, I don't say that to like make you feel bad for me, but depending on where you live and what your service area looks like, your business is gonna look different. I see all these guys on the forum or the board that are like just crushing it, like back to back, dropping stuff off. Well, they probably live in a place that has 60 or 70, you know, thousand or better people, or not, excuse me, 6 or 7 million people. My county is like 60,000 people. So all my customers are not going to come from my county. I have to drive, and I make up for it with a couple ways. Number one, the area that I live in the South, so the cost of living and my fuel is cheaper. It's cheaper than what you guys are probably paying in Texas and definitely west of that. So that's how it becomes worth it to me. And like I said, the cost of living. So where someone may need to make $300 per rental to make it make sense in the West, if I'm clearing 2.5 or 2 on a rental, I'm doing good. So those are some things you've got to keep in mind and like take into account when you are designing and building your price structure. When we get back to the shop, we'll talk more about my pricing and what it looks like. Okay, guys, we're back at the house, and now what we're going to do is we're going to get into some numbers on what things cost, and we're going to talk about what I paid for my equipment. We're going to talk about what that price is doing. We'll talk about insurance and basically like the cost of running this business. We'll kind of take a look, not a super in-depth look, but just a little brief explanation on my numbers. Okay, so my equipment, I have a load trail, 14,000 pound trailer, so 2 7,000 pound axles. It's just the twin axle. They also make a 3 axle version of it, and 2 14-yard cans. That's what I have. And when I bought that 3 months ago in like June, I think June or July of 2021, pandemic era. And what I paid for that was, I believe out the door with taxes, I paid $23,000 for that setup. Yeah, that sounds right. 23 grand is what I paid for that. And then those prices are already now higher. I've heard guys getting quotes for the load trail for as much as $25,000 for the trailer with one can. So it's going to depend on the markup that your dealer has, how long they've had equipment sitting on the lot. They want to move it, they'll knock numbers off of it to get it gone. My guy had 2 of these setups that he sat on for a few months, and then they sold. I bought one, and another fella bought one within 2 or 3 weeks of each other. So they held on to them for a little bit, and maybe that's why the numbers were so good when I bought it. But regardless of that, it's going up. Everything's getting more expensive. I don't know if it's the cost of material to build it, the lack of labor, the logistical crunches that we're seeing as a nation right now, where everything's really, really slow to move around. It could be a combination of all those things, but those numbers are definitely going up. I would say that you could expect to pay for what I have, 1 trailer and 2 cans. You should be around the mid-20s, 25,000, somewhere in that neighborhood. Should get you that setup. Okay, next thing is my truck. I have a 2016 Dodge Ram 2500 with a Cummins turbo diesel and automatic. And it's in my first video as well, but I paid $31,000 for that truck. I paid too much for it. The used car market is insane right now. And I felt like I paid too much for it. I could get that much for that truck right now if I wanted to. But yeah, so trucks are expensive right now. So if you have the money to buy something, again, I would do it now before it goes up too terribly much more. Because I think like the entry price to this game is going to keep stacking until we reach the tipping point, whether it's a large recession or whatever happens in the States. Can't keep going this way. It cannot. It's just everything's going to kind of come to a grinding halt. So there's 23 for the trailer, 31 for the truck. So what's that? 3, 4, 5, 55,000, something like that is about. And then yeah, and then insurance. General liability insurance is cheap. It's like $500 for the year, something like that. I'll have to look at my numbers. It was negligible. Like, it didn't even bother me to pay it. The one that hurt was commercial truck insurance. And the commercial truck insurance, I shopped a lot of people. I tried to use a broker. I tried to use a commercial broker. I'm 41 years old. I've got no accidents. I haven't had a ticket since I was 19. And some companies said I was uninsurable. They're like, nope, we can't insure you. We can't insure you. And it depends on the size of the company and the risks they're going to take. So eventually what I landed on was Progressive. And it's about $5,000 a year. I get a little bit of a cut because I pay it all up front. I think it was like $4,800 or something like that. But that's about the number that I'm seeing. And Progressive is probably one of the companies that you're more likely to be able to get insured with, because again, they're a larger company and they can afford the risk, where like a smaller mom and pop insurance might not be able, or might not be willing to take that chance or that risk. So bigger company, I got a better price. I got quoted like $12,000 from one place. It's so all over the board, it doesn't even make sense. But and that is commercial truck insurance, and that covers the trailer. It will not cover the bin on the ground. It will cover the bin on the trailer when it's transporting it, but it won't cover the bin on the ground. You know, they said that they could try and shop out some different kind of insurance for me. But at the end of the day, I said, you know what? Unless it like gets hit by a train, there's little that would have to happen to that can for me to make it not usable. I'm a fabricator. I got a full machine and metal shop in the back of my house here. I've worked with metal for years. If something happens to that can, I'm going to fix it. It's not a big deal. So my cans are not insured on the ground. General liability covers general liability stuff, but the commercial truck insurance will cover the can while it is being transported. But anyways, so that's where that's at. All right, last thing I want to touch on is like the price of business. I've read over and over that a lot of people will consider it a win if they make $200 per rental. I'm doing a little bit better than that. I don't have a whole lot of data to kind of gather that information from, but I'm doing around $250 in profit on each one. So I'm pretty happy with that. My area, I have some struggles. My area that I'm in used to have a waste moratorium with the county. So for 5 years, the only one that could touch garbage was the county. So I'm back in the game, or I'm in the game now, and there's a few other small guys, but most people in this area don't know that there's any other option other than the county, because that's all there's been. There's been the county to come and collect. So when I'm putting it out there, I'm getting a lot of feedback from people like, oh, I didn't know this was an option. My wife has friends who are builders, and they said, we haven't seen anything like this. They've been building homes in this area for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years now. And they said, this is great. We haven't seen anybody. So it's starting to pick up. But the problem is the county has so much money that it's hard for me to compete with them on a dollars basis. And what I mean by that is they can offer a product at a price, or a service at a price that I cannot. They can offer a 30-yard can at your house with no weight limit for $325. I can't do that. I'll be out of business. But I can do other incentives. One of the things that I have going for me is my marketing is more available to people than the county. The county doesn't market that service at all. You call them up. It's not on Facebook it might be on Google, but just as a byproduct of running a dump, they're not a dumpster service. But it's hard to compete with them because a lot of people know it, because that's all that's happened here for the last 5 years is the county will rent you a dumpster. So a lot of the homeowners and stuff like that, that's who I am marketing towards, and my service and my relationship with them is what I think is floating my business, or I won't say floating my business, but helping my business. It helps me get in the door. I'm personable. My schedule is a lot better. I'm there. I'm not just some guy driving a dumpster and going to dump it off in your lawn. I'm a small business. I care, and I think all those things are kind of coming together to give me a little bit more of an advantage over, the big waste guys. And in my area, that's the city. And in some surrounding counties, we have Republic. They own a couple landfills and they rent dumpsters. But bottom line is, financially, dollar for dollar, I don't know if you can where you're at, but there's absolutely no way for me to compete with the big guys dollar for dollar. I got to make it up other ways, whether it's through incentives or just my relationship and my interpersonal skills that I have with people, or don't have, that my wife has because she answers the phone. But the good news there is that if you are in the same boat as me, don't let that dissuade you, because I'm getting plenty of work. I just got back from dropping a dumpster now. You saw that. So there's still plenty of work. You just may have to go a little bit. You may have to drive and find it. But don't let the fact that there is a big distributor in your area dissuade you from getting in the game and making some money. One of the last things I want to touch on is like service area. So I'm fairly rural. I hate saying that word. I can't. Rural. Let me look up my county's population. I don't think it's but like 80,000. Let's see. Good guess. 83,768 is the population in my county. And the fact of the matter is that it's pretty small and it's pretty rural. It's fairly rural. We have the county south of us. Let me look at what that county. I believe it's like over 1 million. Okay, it is not over 1 million. 658,000 in one of the bigger counties south of me. So I really don't have a lot of customer base. And I see all these posts on the page, on the Dumpsters Rentals 101 page, where guys are like, I'm killing it my first month. And some guy will be like, dude, I haven't had a rental. And other guys are like, I've done $25,000 today. And that's cool, because you probably live in a densely populated area. I live in a damn sticks where I have to drive an hour to make $300. But that's part of the game. You got to figure that into it when you're coming up and you're writing your business plan and you're figuring out, hey, who's my customer? How am I going to target it? What's it look like? Am I going to have to drive a lot? Like, who is around me? You got to figure all this stuff out. I have to drive for mine. I get it. I get mine, but I got to go get it. it's not around the street. Actually, that's a lie. I got one that's just down the street. But typically, it's not around the corner. It's like, it's an hour out and an hour back. And saving grace, there's so many landfills in this state because it hasn't been regulated to death yet. There's damn near a landfill everywhere I go. So if I go out to an hour from here, 2 counties over to pick up a can, 15 miles from my pickup site, there's a landfill, and it's $30 a ton to dump it. So there's pluses and minuses, right? So that's going to save me on fuel because I don't got to, truck 3 tons back across my county and get 8 miles of the gallon. I can dump it out there, pay the $30 and, get 12 miles of the gallon back in the truck. So there's pluses and minuses. What I'm trying to say is don't let the lack of population or a rural geographical location slow you down. Just understand that you're going to have to go out and get it, and it may not look like the stuff that it looks like with the guys on the internet. All right, guys, that's another one in the bag. I appreciate you so much for coming around. It means the world to me that you guys are interested in what I'm doing out here, and man, just interacting with you guys and watching this thing grow and the good vibes that are coming off it is more than enough for me. I really appreciate you guys so much. But for the first time, I am going to ask you a favor. Please don't lick anything, especially with the Ronas. Click the like and subscribe button. Drop me a comment. That helps. The more interaction we get, the more my video gets out to other people, and then they can see it and possibly help other people. But please give me a sub if you like this sort of thing, which I'm guessing you do, and hopefully we can find it helpful. I have started to get some negative, like some thumbs down on some of my stuff, which I'm like, dude, I'm not like hurting anybody, but whatever. Some people are just gonna be mad no matter what. I posted a short, and it was me going to the dump, and like the title on there was like your level of return matches your level of effort, and someone thumbed down that. I'm like, all right, bro, stay mad. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. But anyways, guys, I'm so thankful for you. Please, please, please hit the bell notification. It'll let you know when things come up, and we're going to get these videos rolling out, hopefully on a regular basis, as long as my business stays busy. Thanks, guys. We'll see you on the next one.